Howdy folks, and welcome back to another episode of Tyria Talk. My name is Richie, and this show is all about the breathtaking upcoming MMO Guild Wars 2. This is episode number 12, and we're going to be covering a variety of topics, including the Engineer Tool Belt, Ranger Pets, and cross-profession combinations. Now, there has not been a ton of information coming out of ArenaNet recently. They've been hard at work, but today we did get a development update posted on their website, so it gives us a few juicy nuggets of information that we can kind of, whet our appetite a bit. The first topic I'd like to jump into is the Engineer Tool Belt. Now, the way it worked when we saw it at Gamescom was basically some of your utility skills and healing skills had a corresponding ability on your tool belt that you can activate by using one of the F keys. Apparently they thought it was cool, but they wanted to do it for every single utility and heal ability to make it feel even cooler. So 23 new skills have been added to the Engineer, and now every single utility and healing ability that you have will now have a corresponding tool belt ability assigned to it. So let's take a look at some of the details on some of those. Okay, so here we have the Guild Wars 2 development update, and down in this section here we have tinkering with the tool belt. Now, as you can see here, they're saying the example is if you have in equipment slots 6 to 9, if you equip slots 6 to 9 with Elixir H, Flamethrower, Slick Shoes, and Rocket Boots, you would now have the following skills assigned to your tool belt. So if you press F1, you can throw Elixir H, and this is a ground-targeted skill that throws Elixir H at a target, and it randomly grants different kinds of boons to your allies in the area. F2 makes your ammo incendiary, so your next 3 attacks are burning. F3 is super speed, it's a very short boost, and F4 is a rocket kick, and that causes AoE fire damage. So basically, every one of the equipped slots in 6, 7, 8, and 9 has a corresponding ability on your tool belt that you can activate with the F keys. So it just makes the Engineer much more intricate, and it really adds a lot to this profession. I think at first it's going to be a little bit complicated maybe, but for the veterans who really get into the Engineer profession, it's going to be very, very deep gameplay. So overall, I think this is a great change. This shows that even this late in the development cycle, I mean, they're going to go into closed beta before the end of the year, they said. They're willing to kind of step back and say, you know what, this is good, but we can make this better. We can actually do this better. Maybe they thought it would just be really cool if everything had a tool belt ability attached to it, or maybe they even felt it felt kind of confusing. Okay, which ones have it and which ones don't, and and maybe this just overall will provide a better experience for the player. And it's important to kind of recognize a company that's they say all the time that they do iterations in their design all the time, but here they're proving it that they're willing this late in the game to kind of make a big change for the overall benefit of the game. It's important that they do these kind of changes, especially before the MMO launches, because MMOs you want to set your sight on long term. You're hoping your game is going to be relevant for years and years to come. So what you want to do is you want to make smart decisions now, because legacy issues from poor design choices early on, they just come back to haunt you. It's much harder to change the game later on. Just think of this one example. Let's say they put it out the way that they had it before, and then the feedback was overwhelming that it just feels a little bit clunkier, or it would be cooler if they had one for every single ability assigned to the tool belt. And then they try to change it later on. You're going to have people that preferred it the old way, and there's like a no-win situation. So I love that the ArenaNet is willing to take a step and say, you know what, we're going to do this better, and it doesn't matter how late in the development cycle we are, we can make this happen. So 23 new skills have gone in, and I think it's going to work out really well. All right, the next topic I'd like to cover is the Ranger Pet changes. Now, one of the main things that they did here is they came up with an idea to, basically they took all of the pain in the butt type stuff that comes along with a pet class and kind of removed it. And I played a hunter in WoW for years, and I got fed up with having to manage my pet. I have to level my pets and pick the right pets and stable my pets and all this kind of stuff. They're cleaning this up completely, and I'm actually interested in the ranger profession, to be honest. So this is what they did. They said that you get 2 slots It's 2 and 2. It actually is 2 and 2. There's 2 slots for terrestrial-based pets, which are land-based pets, and there's 2 aquatic pet slots. And you can assign any of the pets that you have tamed into these slots. And there's amphibian pet 2. They didn't leave those out. Amphibians can be on either side, land-based or the aquatic-based. So let's say you have lions, tigers, bears, oh my, and giraffes, alligators, porcupines, and earthworms. So you can say to yourself, yay, right now I'm going to be going out, and I want my giraffe pet and my earthworm pet on the land-based side, and on the other side I want my shark and my narwhal. Okay, so now I've got my pet selected. Now, while I'm out and about, if I'm not in combat, I can go and say, you know what, I don't want the giraffe right now. I'm going to put the porcupine in. Great, swap it. I don't have to go to town. I don't have to go to a stable. I have access to all the pets I have tamed out in the world. As long as I'm not in combat, I can switch which pets are active. Awesome, awesome design choice. Okay, it's very convenient to the players. It's great. All right, so if I'm in combat, then I have just access to the 2 that are active. And it's going to depend on whether I'm in the water or not in the water. That's gonna play a factor. But I have my 2 pets active. I can send one in because I really like what that one can do. It has AoE abilities or whatever. And if I need to swap it suddenly for a different set of abilities, great. I can swap to the other pet. Now, if one of them goes down in combat, I can swap the other one in. And then when I swap back, the one that was downed is back to full life. Now, the penalty to this is that the ability that allows you to swap pets in and out has a cooldown on it. And if you're swapping in and out a downed pet, the cooldown on that ability is longer. So you will have a penalty if you let your pets croak on you, but it's not debilitating like a lot of MMOs have. A pet class puts so much of their power is based on their pet that it's absolutely, crazy how weak you can get if your pet gets taken out of the action. So a lot of people get turned off by pet classes because of that. It's kind of like having like a warrior who has a chance for their sword to just snap in half and they just stand there like hitting people with the pommel of the hilt of their weapon. It's kind of like that bad sometimes. So in this, a ranger will never kind of have that feeling of being totally useless. They can swap the other pet in, and then wait that longer cooldown, and then their other pet comes back up. It's a great system. So that's one area where they've changed the ranger pet. Another area is they've actually really gone into a lot of detail to kind of specify what type of pets do what. So let me explain. They have families of different pets and species of different pets. So a family could be something like the feline family. And then the different species would be something like lions and tigers and snow leopards, etc. Every type of family of pets has a couple, I think they said 3 different characteristics that really define what that family is all about. So, for example, bears are hard to kill, and that could be one of the traits. They said drakes have AoE abilities that can do AoE damage, area of effect damage. Devourers have ranged attacks. So each family's got 3 of these core abilities that kind of define the kit that they bring to the table when you summon them. And then each specific species will have an ability that's unique to them. So, for example, polar bears will be different than brown bears. And it says here, like, for example, polar bears have an icy roar that freezes enemies that are nearby, whereas a brown bear has a roar that removes conditions from people. So each species will have their own specific unique ability, and then the family just has their overarching, like, what you can typically expect from members of those species. So, really, it's a complex system, but it's also elegant at the same time. It brings you a lot of different options, a lot of feel to it. A lot of feel to it? I don't know what that means exactly. It has a lot of feel to it. Yeah, like some of the animals are furry and fluffy. Some of them are rough. Some are smooth. It's just every pet has a feel to it. So anyway, bottom line is I like what they did with the ranger pets. Should we do a slow clap? Bravo! Bravo! Slow clap. That's probably really loud. Pets will also have 2 stances that they can go in, that you can put them in. Basically, they have an active stance and a passive stance. And the active stance, if you get into combat with a bad guy, they're going to go, "Hey, what are you doing to my master?" And they'll run in and they'll start trying to help you beat the snot out of enemies. And if you put them on passive, it's basically saying, don't you dare attack anyone. I don't care how bloody I get. I don't care what I look like or if my limbs are hanging off. You better not attack anyone unless I say so. We'll see how that works out for you. So, 2 stances, active and passive. Pretty typical. I think it gives the player, as much control as they want. You can also assign your pet to attack a specific target by hitting F1, I think it is. So overall, lots of clarifications and some changes to the Ranger pets. And I think overall they did a really great job. Now the last topic I'd like to cover is the cross-profession combinations. Now we've had some examples of this before, but they really said that they've been able to nail down a lot more of these since the professions are getting closer to being finished. They also said that they are testing the final profession, the unrevealed Mesmer profession. They're doing some testing on that, so we should expect to hear some information soon, maybe, hopefully. And so anyway, the cross-profession combinations, these are stuff that 2 players can use abilities in combination with each other to create fantastic, cool effects. So let's take a look at how that works exactly. Okay, as we look here, here's the cross-profession combo section of the post, and this is how it works. You have an initiator, all right, and somebody initiates the combo by actually doing some sort of ability that creates a field on the gameplay. So this could be something like a patch of fire or a lightning field or some sort of elemental effect. And it persists in the world for a certain amount of time that other players can see. And this is important because the initiator has to be able to communicate that there is an ability here that you can actually combo with. And the way they do that is by making something big and flashy appear somewhere in the game world. And then someone can finish the combo by using a finishing move. And those 2 powers will combine and create some powerful effect. So the graphic here will show how this works. It says an elementalist will freeze the ground, and then a warrior can stomp that frozen earth, and then the spell then splashes, and everyone around, all of the good guys, all your allies that are around, will gain armor of frost, which is going to be like a boon. So it's really cool. So a warrior can go ahead and combine with the elementalist spell, and boom, splash a buff to all of your friends. They have some other examples in here if you want to read through the whole thing, but a couple of the other ones were you can use ricochet through a firewall to get a bouncing axe that has a chance to burn the targets. This one I found really interesting. I like that they did something a little different. This next one is Leaping Death Blossom, which is a thief ability, I believe. If you use Leaping Death Blossom through a symbol of faith, it will remove conditions from allies near your target. So it's kind of like a damaging move, but since you jumped through the symbol of faith, it actually removes bad conditions from your allies that are around. That's pretty neat. So overall, I think the cross-profession combinations are going to be a huge hit with the Guild Wars 2 community. That's going to be very popular, and I think it's going to add a level of complexity to the combat system that is really going to create some deep gameplay opportunities. Because, everyone can use their abilities, and everyone's going to be able to have some degree of skill. The more they play, the more they practice. But really, to take advantage of these cross-profession combinations, you're really going to have to know who your other teammates are, what spells they have equipped, what weapon set they have, and what abilities those come with, and then what potential things can you combine with your own with your own skills and abilities that are equipped. And you have to have a sense of awareness of what's going on in the battle and look out for those type of opportunities. If you see something on the ground, you got to be able to react to it. It's really going to bump up the skill ceiling. The maximum level of skill players can have is really going to be multiplied by how well can they work together and exploit these combinations. They did say that the combinations used to be able to stack. You could stack multiple combinations up, but it just proved too powerful in playtesting. So that would have been really interesting if you could stack stuff. But anyway, I think that that system, that is going to be so much fun to kind of test out these things. In the beginning, it's going to be fun just to experiment and see what happens, and then as the community develops and matures, and all the combinations are basically common knowledge, it's going to be then being able to see people really, you can see some really great players pull out some really great some really great moves by being able to utilize the system to their fullest. One thing I want to do before I wrap things up is I want to promote two different things that are Guild Wars 2 related. One of them is a Steam group. If you play games on Steam and want to get together with a Guild Wars 2 community, Guild Wars 2 Universe 2, GW2U2, you can search for. I'll put a link down below. You can join that group. It is a public group where people get together and discuss Guild Wars 2 and also play games together on Steam. So you can join up there. And I also want to promote a little bit the Guild Wars 2 headquarters. This is kind of like a social networking website where people from the community, a lot of me and a lot of the other YouTubers are getting together with a lot of other members of the community, and we're just kind of starting out, and I think they just hit 300 members. But it's a great place. You can post polls and videos and different things and pictures and just discuss this game that we're so excited for. So go over there. I'll put a link for Guild Wars 2 headquarters down below as well. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, please post them in the comments field below. And click on my subscribe link, and please subscribe to my channel so that you can get notified when future videos are released. Give me some thumbs up and share my links anywhere that you happen to hang out on forums or on your Twitter or whatever. The more view counts I get, the more it helps. So please, and I appreciate you supporting me. You can also reach me on Twitter at Richie Procopio. I talk about video games all the time on there. And you can also find me on Google Plus at gplus.to/bogotter. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.